Good morning, sisters and brothers. I'm Brother Bill, and this is your Sunday sermon. Of the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism is the least objectionable, to my eyes. Its promotion of living a good life in this world as an end in itself is a worthwhile contrast to Islamic incitements to challenge unbelief or Christian promises of jam tomorrow in the afterlife. And there's an added bonus. I don't have evangelists knocking on my door to tell me how my life is just a perverted travesty that's going to get me tortured for all eternity. Well, unless I follow their fucked up morals. Now, while I can find massive real world atrocities to lay at the door of Abraham's other religious nutters, the Jews have only got a distant memory of their last crusade. Now, there's very little archaeological evidence to back up the Bible's claims. It's true there was a vicious war in the 2nd century where the Maccabees were at least as brutal as their pagan adversaries, but for the most part the Jews were more victim than persecutor. Now, a great deal of the better part of Western advancement was led by European Jews. They made great advances and refinements in law and banking, for instance. But it was almost always met with further persecution by a succession of pagans, leading all the way up to the Austrian demagogue Hitler, uniting the different Christian sects of Central Europe and attempting the most ambitious genocide in history. So I've got a great deal of sympathy for Jewish people here in Europe. The old enmity is still there. It's still bubbling away beneath the surface. You might know or have heard of my countryman, Sir Malcolm Rifkind, KCMG, QC, and currently a serving MP. He's had a long and successful career in Conservative politics in the United Kingdom, and he currently serves us as the chairman of the Intelligence and Security Committee. You might have seen that in the latest Bond movie. It's the post that Mallory fills. Anyway, he upset the German press a little while back. And the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung headline didn't read the Scottish Conservative, both of which are unusual in British politics. Nah, they went with Der Jude Rifkind. Rifkind the Jew. Yeah, thanks mate. Like that's got fucking anything to do with monetary union. But sympathy and admiration can only take me so far. Sir Malcolm supports the establishment of a Palestinian independent state in Gaza and the West Bank, and so does pretty much every other observer of the brutal train wreck that's in modern Judea. But the Israelis continue to punish people under their economic, political and military control in the most brutal, inhumane manner imaginable. Shooting children for throwing stones is barbaric. Carrying out full-scale military reprisals with infantry, armour and aircraft against refugee camps for terrorist attacks on your people is just cowardly. Condemning terrorist attacks against your citizens while carrying out almost indistinguishable attacks against your enemies is sheer hypocrisy. Now, it's not a one-way street. Arabs have attacked modern Israel from the moment of its birth. But it's a conflict that relies almost entirely on religious faith for its continuation. You could ask some questions. Why does Israel exist? Well, to give the Jews a homeland, of course. Why did you choose Israel? Well, because God promised it to the tribes of Israel. What about the people who are already living there? Well, they're Arabs. They can live in any Arab country they choose. So where do all you Israelis actually come from? Well, here, Israel. Well, apart from the 1,800 years of the diaspora. And anyway, what's with all the questions, you heartless bastard? Haven't you heard of the Holocaust? It always comes back to the Holocaust. It's a non-argument. It would be like me rounding up my entire clan, grabbing some weapons and invading Norway because we suffered from ethnic cleansing during the Highland clearances. Now, with a bit of support and a lot of money from them Scots Americans, we could get a new state set up, annex 2/3 or 3/4 of the Norwegian real estate. It would be just as justified. But it's not the history. It's not the bloodshed, and it's not who's right that annoys me. It's the fact that religion is at the very heart of this. A political and an economic settlement is only a negotiation. Diplomats and politicians on both sides are more than capable of beating out something useful from the divergent aims. Both sides want peace and prosperity. But the political agenda keeps having to accommodate religious doctrine. It can't work that way. The Islamic nutters want nothing more than a complete tide of martyrs' blood. The Zionists believe that their demands are God-given, just like the land that their grandfathers annexed. If there's going to be peace, the religious have to be shown the door. More than that, they have to be made to realise that their interpretation of a Bronze Age creation myth doesn't allow them to dictate the fate of over 7 million lives. The consequences, if Arabs and Israelis can't learn to tolerate each other, are pretty dire. Before long, various Arab nations will have nuclear weapons. Israel probably already does. They maintain a posture that suggests it does, at any rate. Now that is not a happy mix, girls and boys. Here endeth the sermon. If the subject interests you, but you're tired of endless partisan propaganda, then please take a look at the Critical G's channel. Happily, his opinion is completely at odds with mine, so you'll not only get a more focused, in-depth look at the problem, some cracking vids, you'll also get an alternative view. So it's all good. Laters.